winding paths through a lush landscape, a peaceful sanctuary from urban chaos. This rural or garden cemetery was designed in the early 1800s to be a place of solace, both as a final resting place and for the living.
This combination of art and nature would help to console the bereaved and inspire the living.
Bree Harvey, Vice President of Cemetery and Visitor Services.
There are just over 100,000 people buried here.
100,000?
Yes.
Among the many well-known historic figures buried here are African Americans, some whose stories have only recently been uncovered, stories told as part of the African American Heritage Trail.
The cemetery wasn't segregated at any point in time.
It wasn't.
No?
It wasn't. From the founding, the only restriction on being buried here was being able to afford burial
Financial
space.
means.
Financial. Yeah. So when we're talking about especially 19th century African Americans being buried here, most of them are connected to the abolitionist community that's also buried here.
And one of them being Mary Walker. Who is she?
Yes.
Tell us about her.
It says on her very eroded marble monuments that she was born in Orange County, North Carolina.
Walker's story first came to light in a biography written by a Duke professor in 2012. A fugitive slave and seamstress who would come to own a home that had been the inspiration for a Longfellow poem.
So she became, a businesswoman locally, and she lived out the rest of her life here in the Boston community.
I'm very curious to learn about Harriet Jacobs. She was quite a lady.
Harriet Jacobs is another one of our freedom seekers. She was born enslaved on a plantation in Edenton, North Carolina. She published a book, her autobiography, which was called Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. And today it's considered a very important primary source document, and it's also considered an early piece of feminist literature.
Alongside Jacobs is her daughter Louisa. Visitors leave flowers and stones in tribute.
As part of the work that we did about 10 years ago to create an African American Heritage Trail, we also secured funding to help with the preservation of the memorials. That helps to just pay tribute to this really incredible woman and really incredible family.
Here, where the cemetery has a more 20th century look, we find Clement Morgan. He and his wife Gertrude were in unmarked graves until 2005.
He came to Boston in his early 20s to attend school here, and the very first African American to graduate from both Harvard College and Harvard Law School.
Incredible.
But he is most well known for his work in helping to found the NAACP.
The city of Cambridge is celebrating 19th century African American women with a self-guided walking tour developed by the Cambridge Black History Project.
My name is Paula Paris, and I am a native Cantabrigian, which means a person that lives in Cambridge. And I'm here representing the Cambridge Black History Project.
The walking tour is one of many projects this volunteer organization has developed out of pride for their city.
That was actually proposed in 2020 by Professor Taya Miles at Harvard. The topic is abolitionist women and their world.
Locations including the former home of Harriet Jacobs.
After she made her way to Cambridge through a very harrowing escape from her enslavement, she hosted a lot of Harvard students and professors because Black students could not stay in the dormitories.
From here, it's a short walk to the home of Mary Walker, an early African American property owner.
She acquired the property through a white family from Virginia who turned the title over to her.
This at a time when it was not legal for a woman to officially own property. There are 9 stops on the tour, many hidden in plain sight, reminding us that the first step to uncovering history is to look for it.
People should know there are notable monuments and markers for African Americans who had been in Cambridge for many years.
And as you said, 9 stops on the Cambridge Walking Tour, and of course one of them is Mount Auburn Cemetery.
Yeah, and if you'd like to explore Mount Auburn Cemetery, they do have an app with a guide of the African American Heritage Trail as well as other tours.
Up next, treasured photos from Boston's past.